Hello everybody, it's Friday the 2nd of October and it's late on in the evening again. I just got home and I had something to eat and I'm just making a little snip today. I think today historically it's one of the most important days in the history of Ireland, and I think what will happen is this referendum will be passed this time, and you know my opinion about it. I mean, I don't make any bones about it. I think really in the short term, the very short term, this will be to the advantage of Ireland, but I think in the medium to long term it will be a disaster, an unmitigated disaster, and we will regret it, but we've signed up to it and that's it, and getting out of it will be, I think, literally impossible for Ireland. Just the final thing I want to say is, I think it will be passed, and I think in the passing of it, I just want to say that I won't be out protesting that it's been passed. I'm a Democrat, I'm a constitutionalist, and unlike our government, who within 18 months of the previous referendum, we've now had a second one. The first time we voted no, and the pressures that's been brought to bear from international capital and from local capital has been enormous, and the frighteners have been put on the Irish people, and that's why I think it's going to be voted yes. But as I say, we live in extraordinary times and historically very important and full of portent for Ireland. I was having something to eat about an hour and a half ago, and I had to do a double take, and what happened was I came upstairs and I did a little run around here on the internet, and sure enough, what I heard on the news, I was just listening to the news to hear how many people turned out for the voting on that today, because normally I don't pay any particular attention to what they say, but I nearly choked on my dinner tonight. And this is an article in the Irish Independent from yesterday, and they cover it in detail, and it's from their education correspondent, and I'll just read it out to you very. This is their little synopsis of it, okay? I'll read it out. Now, before I start this, I just want to say something. This is not funny. Nobody made this up, but you have to listen very carefully. I'm going to post it up so that you can see it. You can go to the link and have a look at it yourself, see that I'm not telling you any lies. But you have to do not a double take, not a treble take. You have to go and get a small shot of whiskey after reading this, because this is truly unbelievable, and it's really a litmus test. It's really an indicator of why we are in the state that we are in, the muppets that run this country, okay, based on just two things: cute tourism and cheap cronyism. And if this isn't cheap cronyism, I don't know. I'll retire from the world. Just listen to this anyway. It says, the heading is "Get Tough Policy Slashes 14 million euros from Prefab Bill." I just want to qualify what I'm going to read here very quickly. This is about the Minister of Education, and he's citing how much he saved the Irish people, okay, over the last year on their renting of prefabs. You know, these buildings, it says here at the end, the average size is 80 square metres, which is about 24 foot by about 32 foot, okay? Anyway, just listen to this. The bill for renting prefabs for schools has been slashed by 14 million this year. It follows a get tough approach to the use of prefabs by schools, some of which were renting them for years on end. If a prefab is needed now for more than 3 years, the Department of Education and Science will offer a school to buy it rather than rent it. Since the start of last year, the department has given permission to 514 schools to buy prefabs rather than rent them, or else to build classrooms. Education Minister Pat O'Keefe last night confirmed that 94 approved schools opted to build classrooms rather than rent prefabs. Of the remainder, 224 schools had decided to buy a prefab
because they would need it more than 3 years, while 196 had still to decide. Just listen to this. His department spent 53 million euros this year renting prefabs, which he admitted was way too high. So last year, if he'd saved 14 million, they spent 67 million. So between 67 million and 53 million, that's 120 million. Is that right? No, 110 million. No, 120 million. Yeah, 120 million. 120 million. The minister told the Irish Independent he was tackling excessive waste on prefabs with common sense policy moves and intensive negotiations with suppliers. He said the suppliers had been told that the day of charging over the odds to rent prefabs must come to an end. The average annual cost, listen to this, the average annual cost of renting an 80 square metre, which is 780 square metres by 9, is 720 square feet prefab, is about 16,500 euros. Now, I just spent 5 minutes. I just went on the internet for 5 minutes. And all over Europe, you can buy these things retail price for 20 grand. You can buy these things for 20,000, but our Ministry of Education rents them for 16,500. Now, this is the world that we are living in. This is the world of cheap cronyism that we live in. You mean to tell me that's not jobs for the boys? How does this man explain this? See, this man doesn't care. This man gets between 4,000 and 5,000 euros a week. He gets between 20 and 25,000 euros a month. This Bat O'Keefe, being a minister, a senior minister on the cabinet of our country, that's what he gets. He's going to get a massive handshake when he comes out of this business and when he's about to retire, and he's going to get a big massive fat state pension. He doesn't give a shite. He pays 16,500 euros. This is a total obscenity. These people should all be in the pokey, or misappropriation of public funds. I go on the internet for 5 minutes and all over Europe, in the UK, France, Sweden, you could buy one for 20 grand. Now just imagine this scenario. Just imagine this scenario very, very quickly. We have a huge number of people unemployed. Okay. Why don't we start a factory building these things? Making these things. Get a company. Give them a grant. Say to the company, we want these made, and we want them made for 12,000 euros each. And we'll buy as many as you can make. No. No. You see, there's no cronyism in that. There's no jobs for the boys. There's no looking after their mates in Fianna Fáil, down at the local common level. Do you understand? Who are renting these out. That's how Ireland works. Ireland works with all brown nosing one another. From the state, from full state bodies down to semi-state bodies, right down into the private sector. They're all brown nosing, all feeding like pigs, off, slopping off a public trough. But it's all going to come to an end very, very shortly. It's all going to come to an end because the macroeconomics that overlook and feed all this brown nosing stuff is getting very, very, very bad. We're going to see the result of it very, very shortly.